This video is brought to you by our future sponsors. This is the type of currency notes used today around the world. And these are the currency notes that have been used over time. But before we dive into all the insane things we've used as money over the years, we need to know about the fashion trends of the 1600s. When the French first arrived in Canada, what they called New France back in the day, they were trading the old-fashioned way, gunpowder for beaver hats, because beaver hats were all the rage in Europe. When beaver hats went out of style, the French were left with piles of fur just laying around. Nobody wanted to send them any more coins for their fur. The indigenous people still wanted the fur, or at least they were still fighting the French, and soldiers need to be paid. So the French intendant Jacques Stimulus introduced card money to pay the soldiers. I know, it's crazy, fighting with them, trading with them. Don't worry, there was more than one indigenous tribe. Back in the day, people traded with gold and silver coins. As we all know, gold and silver has intrinsic worth. The intrinsic value of the coins became their face value, and that is how trade was done for a long time. The money we use today is fiat money, which means the $100 bill in my pocket, let's be real, it's a wrinkled $5 bill, would be just a piece of paper had the government not said otherwise. If you were to sell this piece of paper, it would be worthless. Card money is a piece of cardboard or playing card with a number written on it to say how much it's worth. Let's just say it was an early version of fiat money. Fiat money is a currency without intrinsic value that has been established as money, often by the government regulations. In order to prepare playing cards or plain cardboard for use as currency, they had to be given a denomination, a seal, a serial number, and appropriate signatures. In New France, this meant an embossed fleur-de-lis and the signatures of the intendant, governor, and treasurer. Card money was generally issued at least initially in emergency situations. So we were talking about the French soldiers being paid in card money. The card money soon trickled down, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry had these cards in their pockets, trading them like bitcoins. The introduction of card money allowed the colony to reduce deliveries of coin from their motherland, which could easily be lost at sea on the long voyage. No coinage could be produced locally thanks to the lack of precious metals. The currency soon caught on, and values on these paper cards were often equal to 100 livres. The livre, French for pound. Eventually, there was about 2 million livres worth of paper card money in circulation, which is around $50 billion in 2020. In the new world, all the cool kids were putting their money on paper cards, and while it's hard to believe, this was really easy to counterfeit. The French government decided that instead of using a new currency before inflation kicked in and the paper money was just worthless paper, they would take the moral high ground. So they hung anyone making cheap copies of their precious playing card money. But no matter how many people they hung, inflation won in the end. Attempts to decrease the value of the cards by half failed, and in 1717 the card money was withdrawn. By 1720, it had been declared worthless. After being beaten by inflation, they were soon beaten again at their own game of colonization by the kings in the game, the British. Canada stops using playing cards as money in the late 1700s, and Germany and Austria is like, it's our turn now. Not Geld, German for emergency money or necessity money, refers to money issued by an institution in a time of economic or political crisis. The issuing institution is usually one without official sanction from the central government. This occurs usually when enough state-produced money is not available from the central bank. Most notably, not Geld generally refers to money produced in Germany and Austria during World War I and the interwar period. Issuing institutions could be banks, public companies, or a small roadside stand with a business license. Most Notgeld contained an expiry date, and those without dates usually had an expiry announced in a newspaper or at the place of issuance. So the state does not have money. What do the privately owned businesses in Germany do? Produce new money with an expiration date. Notgeld was mainly issued in the form of paper banknotes, but sometimes the Germans got creative and used other things like coins, leather, silk, linen, porcelain, postage stamps, aluminum foil, coal, and once again, playing cards. Evidently, they hadn't learned from the French misadventures in Canada. Notgeld was a mutually accepted means of payment unique to each local area, but notes could travel widely. Some cases of Notgeld could better be defined as scrip, which were essentially coupons redeemable only at specific businesses. So to summarize, Notgeld was not legal tender. The government never authorized it. It just happened that people decided that it was money. I mean, can you imagine that happening today? It's like convincing everyone that I'm rich because I can pay them in M&Ms. We've opened a merch store, and our top-tier, high-quality Notgeld is available right now from the low price of $10,000 US. Get it while supplies last before they expire. Today, the US Treasury controls the printing of money in the United States, and the Federal Reserve Bank has control of the money supply through its power to create credit with interest rates and reserve requirements. In Canada, new money comes from two places: the Bank of Canada and chartered banks such as the Toronto Dominion Bank and the Royal Bank of Canada. The Reserve Bank of India prints and manages currency in India, whereas the Indian government regulates the denominations to circulate. From this information, we can say that in general today the Reserve Bank system manages the money supply. So how is the money we use today printed, circulated, and regulated? Well, that can be a video in and of itself. And if you are interested, let me know in the comment section down below.
If you want to make more money, and I mean modern day money, not coal and paper money, then you would love our sponsor. They don't exist yet, but when they do, your patience will pay off.